Yeah, and I have no doubt we are going to be seeing that as you see Nero there and Nectar going to be on the Mantis. Triple strat is run. Actually, yeah, it is going to be run there for the side of Envy, but I don't... Oh, no, we see it there on Sentinels as well. But the only difference going to be having that Luna out there as we start now. Tap is going to be on Duelist instead of the strategist line as that Jeff has been removed. As we start up early on in the first fight, Speedery on this off, they're going to be on the Ultron. We've seen a ton of different Ultron choice in terms of who's on Ultron, and that is an early pick there onto Crimzo. Good focus in rotating those cooldowns there. Keep Crimzo locked in place, and that's an early pick there.
I don't think he got to play the game, Shib. He just like sat there, got stunned by somebody, got slept then by the Mantis, and then got choke slammed, and then also had the stun from the Phoenix. That was depressing if you were Crimzo, and now he's on Doctor Strange to portal back, but Envy capped the point, and we've seen how important it is to take the point early.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get that teleport. If you're going to use that strange portal, you do it as soon as possible. It is a 3-minute cooldown. You should have it by the end here if there is some trading on point. Speedery gonna find it. 2Ps. Goodbye, Crimzo and Avery once more. But yeah, you got to shout out quickly there that rotation as we see Tap and Kaluj find another 2. And at this point, just going to be slowly walk down back to the spawn door. But wow, Envy looking lights out here, especially after seeing that first play with those cooldown rotations. The amount of communication that must come with that is wild. And this team looking like they can do it to some of the best, if not the best here in this tournament.
Yep, Crimzo's over to Groot now, but you know, that is the difficulty. That's the thing you give up. But okay, we're already going for a first fight, by the way. You have to give Speedery the Ultron in that ban phase. He built those ults so quickly, like we saw. Now they're trying to go aggressive with the Freedom Charge yet again on the Sentinels and force something out early out of them. Maybe force them to panic as they build up 50%. They have a lot of space to fall back as long as they don't get picked off here.
I'm going to drop back here from window. Freedom Charge out and gone now. Ult advantage going to be roughly even as we do see now a double ult tap up in the sky with Phoenix. Ensong comes down. Window going to take out Aramori. Another number up here for Envy, who are once again finding these early trades and then just maintaining cooldowns. Should have 3 ults here shortly as Collusion Speedery will be there as Sentinels now will be close to 4. But even so, through these fights, roughly even in ults is a tough trade. And that's what needs to happen here on Domination. Speedery again, understanding perfect rotation there. Finds a 2-piece. Make it 3. Why don't you Speedery? As now walking for Nero. Going to get the pick as well. Kaluj takes out Nectar. And Envy just doing the same thing over and over and over. Sentinels trying to find their footing here.
You have no portal. They used it earlier, and that fight was ended as soon as Aramori got picked in the previous fight. Envy, you know, they do get traded back. Tap goes down, but losing your only strategist ultimate is huge. I mean, Speedery using his ultimates, using his Ultron's rages at the perfect time. Like you said, we haven't even seen Monk committed Invisible Boundary yet. It's just been Ultron rages. On the backside, Aramori commits the Invisible Boundary and met by every single Sentinel's ult. If Envy can wait this out, they'll win the fight too.
Yeah, it's all about now just dropping back and regrouping, retaking together, just essentially losing these cooldowns into nothing as it's exactly what happens. Techie falls here from Nero, who's getting a lot of these early picks here on Mantis. Mantis, obviously known for the damage, who's incredibly strong, but can deal a ton of damage in the right hands and even a ton of healing if you can land those headshots. Tap on this high side angle. Duelist doing what duelists do. Stay on these up angles. Coming in with the animation. Cancel on the melee. Gonna find Avery early on there. And this is the power of damage boost. Phoenix is terrifying to witness. And we are beholding it now. They don't even get the touch.
Whew. What a round from Team Envy there. Sentinels in disarray. And this kind of goes back to the draft phase when we talked about Shib giving, you know, what you're giving to Envy is the Ultron. But also you have to bear in mind, at least we're putting Speedery on Ultron, right? It's tough because he is like one of the best Ultron players, as you can see, having even more damage than the Phoenix that you called out, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, at least he's not on a duel. At least not on a duelist, right? Like maybe that's the sort of thing you give up, right? You're like, okay, we can put Speedery on Ultron. Yeah, it's a strong hero, but you know, he's not playing Phoenix. But
you gotta, I mean,
Tap played that perfectly.
The tricky thing to think about is when you hide a pick like Tap in your roster, it gets difficult to do your homework, right? You know, granted, yeah. I'm sure when you have scrims and such, and I'm sure these teams are scrimming, you can start to do a little bit of homework and understanding where they like to play. But obviously Tap is incredibly strong on things like Psylocke, who, you know, we will see a little more, I believe, in the next season coming up here actually tomorrow. But, you know, Phoenix still available. We see, you know, trying to lock out Speedery with things like Torch, but then, you know, every single flyer in the game Speedery can be a demon with, and especially if you get the damage boost Ultron, which is a an absolute force in the meta right now on a player like Speedery. It's what is the trade-off? It's so difficult to decide what is the better win on banning that I do not envy, if you will, Sentinels, and pun intended, as we start off our first fight on map 2. Window on the high side, gonna jump right on those strats. Bang, here we go on to Nectar. Team gonna elect to drop back together. Speedery already finds Crimzo, and oh my goodness, tap of the two-piece. Nero gonna find Renko. Speedery on to Avery, and this is again another just walking off the rip here from Envy.
Yeah, understanding they had the ultimate advantage and Sentinels didn't have anything because they used it in the previous fight, was kind of over. Also, Crimson was on, I think, the Venom too towards the very end of the last round, so you know he's not going to have a Groot ult yet. And with that, I mean, Envy just kind of walks on Sentinels with their own ults, gets the fight win. Now in this upcoming fight, they also have Ultron's Rage to go aggressive, maybe force out another Stratus ult, but they don't even know, maybe. Sentinels don't even have any, right? They're still waiting. They're still trying to build up Renko's ultimate, but every time Sentinels have been forced to use these Strat ults super early. I mean, it's going to be hard to play patient because they want to keep people alive, but that's kind of the way forward, is if they slowly use these ults and maybe bait out at least some more ultimates out of Envy to get more equivalent ult trade.
That's a great call out, but we will see Ultron baiting out something immediately, I have no doubt. And yes, there's the match back right there as we're out with the dance floor. Gets matches. Mori finds Nero. Nectar now going to get a pick, and that's what Sentinels need to find their footing now. It's all about closing out this point and not overcommitting. As we see a few more here, Kaluj going to pull out Sonic Seduction. Does this make something happen? Window with the Freedom Charge, essentially a strategist line all in and of itself. Going to walk down the back line, just hold point at this point, which is a strategy we saw in Midseason Worlds from the team that used to be called, oh, geez, I can't even remember the top of my head at this moment, but coming through again, holding on tight. It's all about stalling, right? So that is what they're trying to do. Rad is who I was looking for in that moment. It's all about stalling. That was the communication there, that they essentially said, once you get that point, use everything you can to buy as much time as possible. And that is what we're seeing now. Just commit everything, get to 65%, and now it's a one-fight game.
Yep, so smart, but, you know, like you said, you build ults so quickly in Marvel Rivals. You know, you see teams even try to clutch up down 3 members of their team. They're ready to go in NB again, hiding around the corner for a sec. Now they go aggressive once more, but they're going to get slowed down by the Sonic Seduction. Also met by the Supernova on the top side. NB don't have Straddles just yet, so this could be big. They also find Speedery too before he can build up that Ultron's Rage.
And we're starting off again. Ensong Inferno out of the back line. Sentinels with no ults available at this moment. Envy not quite there either. Speedery goes down. Renko going to find Tap now. And again, Sentinels are starting to look like a new team. Reborn here, much like Phoenix walking back Envy. Will they be able to hold on and even the odds here? Pushing close here to 50%, which would put them tight up. Speedery again going to have that Ultron's Rage, but it will be matched right back as Crimzo and Aramori holding on to ults. Renko and Nectar very close as well. Ult advantage in their favor once more. Now Sentinels giving them their own taste of their own medicine as we start up again. Speedery with the Ultron's Rage to initiate the fight. Does this pull out anything? We do see no one matching. Instead, just patty caking back and forth, and that is insane value.
Yeah, I mean, that was a perfect fight win from Sentinels there. Like you mentioned, Speedery kind of forced out of sync there. Maybe didn't expect to go down in the last fight to Avery. And honestly, huge shout out to Aramori for finding that late pick off on the tap with that force physics. But mainly, Avery has been a difference maker on Torch. You know, maybe also Speedery going down in that Ultron's Rage, coming back and through that pressure over the high ground, has been doing so much on Human Torch. Sentinels going right from a fantastic Human Torch player into Ryan Amazing, now over to Avery. We'll see if they can keep up this pressure, though, as they are still down a point in the round in the map.
Yeah, there should be almost a 6 stacks of ults here on the side of Envy, which will be close to match from Sentinels, who are near 5. As we start up again, Kaluj is going to be looking up with the Psionic. Does not get the trance, as there was a great escape there. Still walking forward once more. Avery with a good escape on that high side. We come down with the Meteor M. Does that land? We see Ensong come through. Window going to find Renko, and that's the first pick of this fight. But everyone's pressing the Q button. Who goes down next? Numbers up for the side of Envy, and the point being held by Sentinels at 99. And that is a pick there from Kaluj on a Crimson. Numbers again evened out once more, but this time a Vanguard is picked. Walking now once more, taking the space, giving the space, and just using the Q from Speedery to keep the team moving again forward. And those ults are coming back very quickly, and now Envy has the point.
Yeah, I mean, these strategy ults are just coming out a little bit too late for Sentinel's side. They're going to have to reset now, even though they portaled. And also, it's one of the strat players going over to the Doctor Strange. Renko is going to be on that Doctor Strange. So they're on a 3-2-1 comp, throwing out the Groodle. I believe that was eaten by the shield from Window, so huge shield there. Envy still staying alive until now. Nice shots from Nectar. Get rid of Window before Envy have ults. Huge tempo play by Sentinels.
Yeah, essentially using that cooldown to block root and then getting value on knowing that shield is no longer around and heavy committing damage is pretty big brain plays here by a team that clearly knows what they're doing. Sentinels locked in now, still holding that point. OT is ticking and they're still able to maintain position. Portal goes out. Techie and Avery, though, are going to find a two-piece again. Sentinels now looking heavily up in numbers. Window low in HP at about a quarter. Goes right back as the strategists have full focus. Supernova out as this closed down as everybody's back and forth now. Avery on a tap, and that's an early pick once again from Sentinels. Envy down 3 now. Will they get shut down? It looks like they will. Map 3 is coming up here shortly. We have a 1-1 series, folks.
I love that. I mean, I did not think that Sentinels had a chance in the world to win that fight, but because they knew the ultimate charge, because they're reading that so well, they're all tracking as a team, they were, able to take advantage of Envy's positioning and to sort of wonk at them too. So, even though the composition isn't necessarily, favored, I guess, when you switch your own, when you switch one of your own triple strategists over to Doctor Strange, it works out if you play the old game well. So great work by Sentinels there. They were able to capitalize on the Ultron, I think, so many times. It was hard for Speedery to really get set up, and that's off of Avery. I mean, look at his damage output. Look at, how much he's doing on Human Torch. But the team, more importantly, is playing around him well. We'll see if they can keep it up. It's all tied up 1-1, Shib, on our very first map, and you called this out earlier. It seems like because of the games that happened today, 3-0, 3-0, that kind of bodes well for these later games that might be a bit closer, obviously, for us, but I'm sure these individual fans are going to be feeling the pressure of Sentinels and Envy.
Absolutely, and one thing to note here, just taking some advice into ladder, if you are going to lose a map on domination, lose it with alt advantage, and that will give you that early fight that we talk about being of such importance. As you can look now at Envy, holding on to 4 alts ready for this next fight, going to be matched by 2, almost 3 from the side of Sentinels, and that's why sometimes when you're playing domination and you have a comeback win, and the next map feels like a roll because they will be holding on to those alts and come through heavy off the rip. But let's see if it works out for the side of Envy, as Kaluj is looking for a flank play here, and on the high side, going to break down those walls as you should. Equipment needs focus, especially things like Namor Squids, and now the whole team pressing the point, using those walls to buy and own space. Speedery now going to be launching Ultron's Rage directly on the back line, gets matched right back by the Soul Resurgence. Whole team now walking forward. Up we go with Ensong here from tap that lands on and is followed up on a Nectar. Down goes 2 more as Envy gets that point, or at least the space so far held early. Trying to stall here from Avery. Avery is going to fall again. Envy now has the point early on.
I mean, this is a very, very interesting switch up from Envy. They switch Nero over to the Cloak and Dagger off of the Mantis, and you'd assume, oh my goodness, they're going to lose all that damage potential, but realistically, you get the Terror Cape, you also have a pretty strong ultimate, and Sentinel's win condition at the moment is just overwhelming damage, right, with Avery finding these pickoffs, and maybe that Mantis has a little bit more downtime potentially, / like not as much burst healing, with the Cloak, with the Cloak and Daggers, with the Dagger Storm and all this. So Envy switching up their comp to just be pure sustain in the sky. Window, that was a bit zealous.
The idea was insane, but what a shield there, just to hold on from the side of Month, and that was just nutty to see. Or excuse me, I believe that was actually Aramori, as we are seeing alt pop again. Everybody walking forwards once more. Techie gonna find the crystal pop. 25% HP of a Vanguard goes down quickly. Techie now trying to take this space back, but again, Envy doing a great job maintaining this position. Alt advantage up for the side of Sentinels. Nectar very close as well. Tap there with Speedery, who seems to have that Ultron's Rage every time I look up at the screen. Tackle goes out there from Techie. Everybody still holding on as we see Invisible Boundary popped once, and Aramori trying to take that space back. Out we go. This time it is going to find a little bit of value as Nectar takes out Month, and Crimzo with a nice strangling prison there is going to get that early pick. Kaluj trying to match it right back with Psionic, but again, 72% on here for Envy, doing what we discussed in that last map, just holding point for as long as humanly possible, and then recommitting with 1 alt fight to end the game.
The switch up there for Envy, unfortunately not panning out, right? They tried to sustain all those, aggressive ultimates from Sentinels, but in this case, Sentinels collapsed on Envy, forcing them back to the spawn, and now finally have control of that point. We have Supernova available. The last time, I believe Nero was there to counter it with that Eternal Bond. They also have Shredder's ult advantage, right? Because Invisible Boundary, and also the Soul Resurgence was committed by Nectar. We'll see in this upcoming fight, though. It's going to be hard for Sentinels to win unless they can maybe catch somebody out or maybe get a boop off of the map.
And here we go now. Techie gonna pop Out and ult
walls.
early, and great wall there to bide some time. Avery is going to try to find some value with the supernova. Window just got his ult canceled by the freeze from Renko, and that was huge in that moment as Renko now very close to ultimate. What a freeze right there. Crimzo very close, and we are walking in now from the side of Sentinel. Speedery going to get that pick early and doing what Speedery does, putting the numbers back in their favor. We are going to see a Strangling Prison out. Does that find value as we see a sleep there on a techie, and down goes Crimzo. Strangling Prison coming right back. Almost frozen again, but this time still going to hold on, be a little more patient with that cooldown. 60% on for Sentinels, and the portal comes out to bide time and try to get those numbers even down. Tap onto Nectar, Kaluj, Month with a two-piece off map onto Aramori and Techie, and that is some early and well done work here by Envy, who are once again up in ults as we head to our final fight.
Yeah, huge work by Envy there. And Sentinels, I mean, they almost worked themselves back into it with some big hero plays. And it looks like they're going to rely on more of those, right? Crimson's going over to the Angela. Renko's going over to the Adam Warlock alongside the Mantis. But we have 5% left to go. They're going to have to touch with somebody here and maybe get a pull off the map. You have to worry about this Invisible Woman right now, as Month has been doing a great job with these force physics. Nice pick off from Tap, too.
Yeah, we've seen a ton of that from Tap right now, who's going to use that end song just to bide a little bit more time, and a decent escape. Almost
huge
Nectar with great aim there. Going to find that track on a Tap, who almost escapes.
Nectar!
Two-piece now. Why don't you? Onto Speedery. Absolutely popping off here. Oh, Nectar! From Month. And return to sender moments, and Nero almost goes off right there. And another effort for an off map. Again, these OT battles are wild, and out we go with the Supernova. Avery going to find Kaluj, and here comes the portal once more coming in from the side of Tap now, who is now no longer on that Phoenix and is going to be on the Vanguard role. It's anyone's game at this point. Sentinels need to get point here. They are at 62% if Envy comes out on top. Speedery on a pick there. They will end this. Tap with one. Nero, and that's going to be enough. The rest comes through, but it is not going to be early enough, and Envy take home the first map.
Yeah, we saw last series FlyQuest, or first game, sorry, of the day, had Energy on Bucky just going ham, right? But also, you know, Energy is one of the best Buckies in the game, right? And I think his Bucky stats-wise as well does even better than his Phoenix in ranked. If I remember right with his stats, a big stat we look for at least analysts in the scene, when you're looking at good players on ladder, a big stat you look at is the damage per 10, right? How much you're getting. Deaths per 10 is a big one there, but it doesn't show casualties, I believe, per 10 on the ranked leaderboard ladder. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but at the moment, you know, damage per 10 is a big one. Same thing with final hits per 10. But at the current moment, yeah, Energy was crazy on Bucky, and I kind of agree with you. It's sort of interchangeable with the Phoenix, but this is a sort of a game to show that, right? Can Speedery and Bucky match Avery on that Phoenix? Because that was banned out for Envy's side. A lot of duelist prioritization, forcing Tap now over to that Mantis.
And you're going to see just standard nature here, something to bring in a ladder. Everyone in the team is trying to duck near Window's healing wall. You get one of those heals, and then you go through the fight, and you'll give that group all incredibly quickly. Was almost at 70% there, but does fall early as Crimzo gets that pick, and now Sentinels heavily up as the team drops back together. And this is a decision you will see a ton of this level of play. You get that early pick, just reset and come back in heavy, using this to break down walls. Kalush gets walled off, though, and down goes two. Sentinels come in heavy and take the point in record time here, walking back Envy.
Yeah, I mean, it might be too early to call because, you know, it kind of shows up in the end of maps how, you know, the ban phase sort of goes. But, you know, because it depends. You can snowball to the second phase of this game. Same thing with the first. So a big gap maybe for Envy at the current moment is it's very interesting that Speedery is the one over to play the Bucky instead of Tap, right? I would assume, okay, the guy that just played Phoenix probably should also play the Bucky. But no, it's Speedery going over to the Bucky, Tap onto the Mantis. So you've theoretically just changed two entire roles just through that one ban. And that may be what Sentinel's going for, right? Maybe making Envy having to think a little bit more could give them an edge.
Yeah, and we talked about the success of Warlock on maps like this, Convergence and Convoy, and again, we see Renko over there on the Warlock. Meteor M goes up. That one does not land here from the side of Techie. Sentinels have almost everyone with all at this point, but we'll see the same thing for Envy. Up we go with the end song, just essentially just biding time, waiting for some sort of play. Going to commit now, right onto the back line. Aramori going to find Window, and again, they are up in numbers, and out we go with a few ultimates now. Soul Resurgence going to be matched right back. Nectar going to launch up Tap as well. Month going to copy here and walk them backwards as Sentinels is going to retreat and regroup. Window coming back from spawn as the team is at this point just stalling biding more time and trying to build some ultimates as everybody committed the Qs, but they were just back and forth trades. Kaluj now trying to get a few walking, and they do, but Avery with a nice pick there onto Kaluj. Put Sentinels up again, who are woken up. They are ready now as Crimzo takes out Speedery, and they're keeping this train rolling right to the spawn here of Envy, who are just losing these points quickly. Sentinels definitely popping off here after those early domination matchups.
100%. Sentinels momentum shifting in their way. Kaluj teleports back. I need to see more out of Speedery on Bucky, and okay, he's going over to the Wolverine now. It's a change up because honestly, he wasn't really hitting those hooks. That's a big part of Bucky's kit, is hitting those hooks, right? And Cal, I think, is a really good Bucky. So it kind of is odd not having him in the lineup, making Speedery play it. And now he's going over to that Wolverine, but has to deal with an Invisible Woman on the opposite side for Aramori.
It's a tricky part of having a ton of talent in the duelist front, is that there is always going to be someone on the roster that can do something just a little bit better than another. So it's just a decision of what's going to get through the ban phase. Nectar. Oh, there, and that's early on as Sentinels. Up we go with the EUM from Techie, and that slams in.
Yeah, what a eat by Techie there onto that Strangling Prison. You talk about fantastic tank play, Shib, all the time, and here it is. Right now, Sentinels are just walking on Envy, right? They get Crimzo over to Groot, they put Techie onto that Magneto, and it's exactly as you said. Huge work from them. They actually swap over the Comp Foley ship. They're going over to that Psylocke and Emma. So Envy trying to sort of figure something out, and that shows. I think Envy's draft phase, or sorry, Sentinel's draft phase was very good. That we're making Envy think so hard in this third phase of the map.
Yeah, 4 minutes on here as we head to the final point is a ton of time, but this is very much a defensible position. In the olden times, you know, of Rivals, we saw a lot of strange portal off of the spawn, and that did help. There's some of that spawn advantage, but we likely won't see a ton of that now unless something crazy happens towards the end of this matchup. Now, whole team going to drop back from the side of Sentinels as ults get popped here from Nero. Out we go with the Eternal, and Ed is walking forward, but doesn't find too much value on the follow-up just yet. Sentinels holding on with almost 5 ultimates available, as we'll see 4 from the side of Envy, who comes out on top and who overcommits ults. We'll find out shortly. Speedery now going to be over here, changing it up on Psylocke. 2 very strong Psylocke players here on the side of Envy as well. Kaluj with the side, but does that land? Seduction does not get any value as Qs are going out, but not a lot of enemies are going down. Now we go with the end song this lands in. Does this one find value? It does not, but Strangling is huge here. Finds a few. Out go Crystals to get the team healthy. Window. Nectar gonna find Speedery, and this time Sentinels come out on top early. Kaluj turns that right back though. Numbers evened out. Out we go with the Eternal Bond. Does this one land? Shield goes up. Avery, Renko gonna res back Aramori, and now Sentinels using that res their advantage, up heavy in numbers, walking towards the spawn door again of Envy.
I mean, they're picking on Speedery right now, right? It's because when we look back at that ban phase, they banned out 3 duelists, right? They banned out Torch, they banned out Star-Lord, and they also, well, actually not 3 duelists, but they banned out, I believe the Jeff and the Ultron, right? Like, so many characters focused towards Speedery's hero pool at the current moment, forcing him onto the Psylocke and Emma. And right now, I mean, they got to figure it out. This front to back style Sentinels is working at such a high level, and they have ultimate advantage too. Envy has to hold on now with that Captain America. They've also swapped Cap over to the Bucky.
Yeah, and there's that change. They're looking to make on the defensive change up the pacing a little bit. Nectar going to start up here. So Resurgence and the team healthy, walking forward. Everyone ready for this next fight. Aramori holding on to ult here. No ult quite ready as Kaluj will be there very close. Almost goes down at about 5% HP. Ensong Inferno comes out. That lands on the back line for Avery. Going to break some of that equipment in terms of walls. Speedery going to start up Kaluj now. Trying to Psionic. Finds one. Window going to take out Renko. Kaluj onto Nectar. And out we go with another Strangling Avery. Gonna find Speedery. Renko rests right back. Does have that passive ready, and they are still holding on. Sentinel's doing a great job on these retakes after losing numbers early.
Yeah, but Envy's holding on, right? They still have that point control, and it's, as you mentioned, Avery over the high ground. Avery's been doing a lot on Phoenix and throughout the series, so that's definitely a player we have to keep watching out for as we have a minute and 30 seconds left to go. Envy still hold on, though. You can never really call it with these third-point ship. It just is so easy to retouch as soon as you get a hold, right, with these spawn doors. But we saw in the Rad series, teams eventually get whittled down sometimes, even with no time left in the bank. We'll see what happens as Envy have a minute 15 seconds left to go. They have shut off to hold on, but as the Sentinels have the combo alongside Magneto and Ensong Inferno.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is a great example of the power of Phoenix right now in the current meta, which is banned out for Envy. You did make a great call there. 3 duelists gone, as we see Phoenix, Star-Lord, and Human Torch are no longer available here for the side of Envy. And there's a ton of stuns out with the animation canceled for the melee. Avery gonna find Kaluge. Month now gonna be taking out Avery again with that force physics. Speedery onto Renko. Renko likely does not have res quite yet. Avery gonna find Tap, and again, Sentinels up in numbers, but out we go with the Eternal Bond. Nero gonna drop backwards and head towards the team, staying healthy. Avery trying to find this pick, and again, all of that 4 minutes is now down to 30 seconds, and alt advantage going to be slightly here for Sentinels. Strangling Prison could be massive here. Will it find value?
Will it find value? That's going to be a big point of emphasis. Crimzo walks forward, does get that speed, and also going for the Mantis. On the backside, Kaluge falls so low, but they actually, the cart, I think it just blocked the ult from Crimzo, but they still find Window and Speedery.
Yeah, that's a 2-piece. Kaluge going to be taking out Avery, though. Numbers close to even. But Nectar now on a tap, and that puts them up again by 2. Will Sentinels be able to close this out? Pushing all 3 and giving them peace of mind on the defense. It's very close as Techie takes out Kaluge. And again, now we're holding his Month now.
Oh my God.
The invisible boundary. It gets matched. The Venn diagram is out as our Amori commits. Crimzo onto Month to get rid of that boundary. Out we go with the dance of the butterfly. Everybody pressing Q. Who comes out on top? Up goes Techie now, who finds Speedery. Nectar on a tap, and they push it through all 3 points. Sentinels with a great attack.
Yeah, what an attack from them. 2 things there, Shib. At the end of the day, right, Sentinels, it sort of was a repeat of the series we saw earlier with Rad yet again. Not to bring them up too much, but, you know, they had like 4 points end of Araco. This one, they had 3 points the end of Symbiotic Surface, and then they eventually get collapsed on, right? It's just too many ults to worry about. Also, like, we see the advantage of playing a triple Stratus comp versus the 2-2-2. You know, you just get to play Bucky, or you play anything against what Envy are doing, and they don't have the Mantis anymore. They don't have the sustain. They don't have the regenerative domain from Renko. There's so much delay from the side of Sentinels on top of still having good damage. That means that they could just sort of live forever, build those ultimates up. And, you know, it was an incredible emphasis from Month there to stay on that point to try to hold. But honestly, this is kind of the draft phase thing that's happening, Shiv. This is the sort of meta, which I don't entirely disagree with. I think it's a little simple. Which is, you know, personally, I want, like, you know, complex drafts as a viewer. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I want the most complicated draft of all time.
Sure.
But realistically, because what we happened with all these Stratus bans, Shib, it feels like strat players are actually very, very versatile in who they play now. And at the moment, if you ban out duelists, right, a lot of duelists weren't banned too much. It makes sense to sort of target ban individuals. That's what's happening in Europe and EMEA. That's the sort of draft phase a lot of the top teams are doing, and it makes a lot of sense. It's simple, sure, but if you ban out heroes that, you know, a player is used to playing, and also, you know, maybe look, Envy's having to put Tap now into Psylocke and Speedery back over to Ultron. You're making them adjust, making them do things they're maybe not comfortable with. And target bans is kind of the way forward, I think, for a lot of these top teams. It's sort of easy and makes it simple for your team in the ban phase.
Yeah, and there's I couldn't agree more with you. And there's a conversation about, you know, once you start seeing teams rapidly switch heroes, switching up, you know, even in the roster, changing up the heroes and who's running the hero in that moment. A lot of that just indicates to me that you are playing scared and on your heels and just trying to figure things out. And although I think it needs to happen, it's just tricky, especially on point 3, to be forcing and changing a ton of different strats out, because your whole flow as a team is now different. But Window there, gonna find Avery early on with an insane toss of the shield. Speedery holding the high side, and that's some good damage as Kaluge now finds Techie. Is this going to be a walk to right back at him, as Speedery already has Rage of Ultron, and that's going to find one onto Renko, and they're now using the momentum right back at the side of Sentinels. Envy doing a great job on this point 1. We need one more tick, but the portal comes through.
A bit of an awkward spot there. Maybe Speedery going back and forth. We'll see with the invisible boundary. Something to say about the comp later on, but at the moment the fight starts off with that boundary from Aramori. Envy waited out, play it back.
And we'll start again. Kaluge taking this space and owning it. The portal was huge here from the side of Avery. Out goes the Strangling Prison. That one does land. Nero going to match that back, and Speedery falls from the side of Crimzo. Good focus on damage there. Onto the high side of the point, and here we go with the Dance of the Butterfly. This one out for Tap. This one unable to find much value. He's going to cancel that early and just wait. Window now holding on to the Freedom Charge. Instead, not going to elect to use it as Invisible Boundaries launched. And again, matched right back. The Trade Fest has begun. Sentinels with a great job on this retake.
Yeah, they did a great job there too, like you mentioned, in Tap, and the neutral finds Renko. On the opposite side, Agamotto from Avery. But will it find the connections at the moment? It's all Team Envy in that KO feed. And this is sort of something that's interesting as Envy tap out the point shib. Like, they sent tap in, right? I don't even think usually Speedery would have held on to that Dance of the Butterflies towards the very end, waiting out Shrouded Assaults, right? Maybe like it's not practiced enough, just because tap, you know, that's a great part as well, is that they put tap on a Psylocke who is a great, one of the best Psylocks in the game, really, in North America.
Sure.
Putting him over to the Psylocke is definitely huge, but, you know, practice definitely matters. And at the moment, this is the change up for Team Envy. They're putting Speedery back over to the Ultron, which makes a lot of sense, right? Taking the advantage they were given, which is the Ultron in that ban phase, and finally, you know, realizing, okay, we have tap on Psylocke, and he's been caster cursed to get found by Avery on Sentinel's side. Gets pulled in. Nice force physics from Armory.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's very difficult when you've been found as Psylocke in the back line when there are things like that force physics ready, and you do have crystals there now from Renko into the bubble, and he got pulled from Bucky at the punch now, as that will slow down movement. Avery gonna find one techie. Gonna be shutting down Nero there with the Meteor Rem, and again up in numbers, and Envy is walking back. Sentinels seemingly coming back from the spawn stronger than ever. 2 fights in a row now, and that indicates a strong defense to me. A team that is not afraid to retake position, as now they're on that first ramp and with control of card.
And if we see, you know, Sentinels lose this to Team Envy on the attack, all you can do is tip your hat to Team Envy, right? I mean, at the moment, they are on sort of an odd composition for them, at least, right? I'm sure practice-wise. So ban phase definitely goes in favor of Sentinels. We'll see if they can keep it up, though, with 3 minutes in the streets phase. Envy still have time. They also have a lot of ults to deal, maybe with this Friendly Prison from Crimzo. And also, Envy can just sort of thaw it out, right? That's the biggest strength of this comp. They have so many basically Shrouded Assaults. They have 4 on their side.
And here we go again. Window doing some serious work here on Cap, just all over the place. That's doing what Cap does, and that's just being a nuisance in the back line, and then coming back and protecting your line with that Freedom Charge. Cluj steady at 100 charge here, folks. For those who don't know, double damage when you're at 100 charge, so it is worth sometimes using Diamond to hold on to that charge. Nero falls here from Avery as Sentinels get this early fight pick again. Double Qs popped here from Speedery and Kalush. Does this one get value? It's looking dangerous here for the side of Sentinels, but Nectar with a great counter-all, 2 for 1, if you will. Now Armory gonna pop in Viz Boundary, keeping the team healthy, and they're doing a great job on these trades. Envy only having 2 ults, and out goes that Freedom Charge. This should be enough, but Renko gonna copy up and walk them right back. Will this be enough to counter the Cap Charge? It looks like it will at the moment, and these ults are being traded so well here, back and forth.
Yep, Speedery going down. I mean, there's 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. Meteor M in the high ground gets deflected, I believe, by Nero, but at the end, or by Window. But at the end of the day, Nero goes down to Nectar. Right, and at the moment, I think this Loki advantage has been huge, right? We see so much value coming from this Loki team up alongside Groot and the Mantis. This character, I think, really has been on the come up, even after the nerfs. It's been a constant thorn in the side of a team that doesn't deal with it, right? This character, I think we saw some bans super early on, but not as much recently. Sure. And honestly, I wouldn't hate, you know, banning it again just because of how strong the Loki's been. Renko keeping this team constantly healthy with those domains, also, you know, has that copy onto anybody he really wants. And Envy are even going down through, you know, Groodle and stuff with the Mantis ult from Nero. There's so much damage output right now by Team Envy and Sustain, or from Sentinels.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen teams run it. Cooper was running a lot of the Loki there, and I agree with you. I think Loki, you know, just the understanding of the nerf put a bad taste in teams' mouths, but, you know, may not have the same KO potential, but still very strong with those cooldowns. Kalush, though, going to find a 2-piece now. Sentinels going to be forced to hold on here with the boundary. Alt's going to be launched here for Kalush, mid-boundary, trying to force the team backwards, and it does take this space as 2 should be walking here now. Aramori with some good positioning. Unfortunately, not enough healing available to stop that from happening as Window gets 1. Speedery and Tap find 2 more, and now Envy are walking, but it is now down to 1 fight territory. Force portal here from Envy. Will they be able to make this happen? Heavily up in ult advantage.
And you can see how greedy Sentinels are being, right? They literally thought they had enough healing to live all of that damage from Team Envy in that last fight with Renko, but they lose 2 in the middle of the fight before the invisible boundary comes out. Now we're entering last fight territory in this second phase, where honestly Envy have overwhelming advantage. We'll see how Sentinels can react.
And here we go now. Resurgence is popped. Nero walking in. Window doing the same. Out we go with the Feast of the Abyss. Tap now with the Dance of the Cutterfly, if you will. Nectar now with a Resurgence. Renko copying up, making sure the team stays healthy, making sure that all is not used at the same time in perfect Window fashion right there, happening at the exact moment that goes down. And Speedery going to keep that moving. You cannot eat the damage from the laser here from Ultron, but you can eat the ultimate damage there from the Meteor M. Good focus there by Speedery. That turn was insane to keep the team healthy. Muff is going to fall, though, from Avery with a great crack and impact. Will this be enough? Avery going to find 2, make that 3. Do I see 4? I do! Avery with the penta to shut it down and force the win on game 2. As we are now in the playoff stages, and you get knocked to that lower bracket, and before you can think about it, the dreams of making it to Atlanta are gone. So everything is now on the line here for these pros as we start up. And now I believe we saw at the moment Nero was going to be on the Ultron. We'll see if that changes here as they start up. It looks like it is going to be the case. And just to show you how diverse the team is and willing to handle virtually every hero, Speedery going to be on. We haven't seen a lot of this, but this is crazy to see the Iron Man play as he had the double flyers up here off the rip.
Yeah, I like it. Envy's willing to do weird stuff like that and put Speedery on sort of carry heroes. In Iron Man, one of those, Avery, beamed down by the unit beam in the sky. And, you know, what do you do about that? You get rezzed by a BRB because you got Rocket Raccoon. So they're still in it, Shib. And the thing is, they don't really have a good anchor on Sentinel's side. They're going to be all characters that can sort of dive around, but nobody can really secure that objective. So we'll see what happens as we move forward.
Yeah, but that is a huge cooldown to find early. I believe 45 seconds, so that is a ton of value there now as, again, another goes down. Envy keeping this space moving forward, and this triple composition already kind of folding as Sentinels is not able to just maintain that point and then get that portal back on this ramp. Everything kind of being thrown out the window as they're now committing and trying to hold on. Great focus here, seeing that Ultron team up to keep Speedery healthy in the sky, and here comes the portal now as the team is going to try to fight on this ramp. It looks like they are able to drop back together. Nectar going to find Tap early, though. Crimzo onto Window, who finds that pick, and much like Wolverine, Angie does a great job into group because that pull hitbox is just absolutely massive. It's very difficult to miss that.
Speedery's going over to that Phoenix now, and this is the changeup. Luckily, sort of by proxy of Sentinels protecting that Doctor Strange, they at least get an anchor hero, right? You can't play Mag, you can't play Groot, you also can't play Emma Frost. The last character you have to select there is that Doctor Strange that we protected earlier. So now that Techie's on that hero instead of on Venom, that should give them a little more stabilization towards that objective, towards that cart, to maybe buy more time for Crimson to set up.
And that's a great pull here immediately. Good focus. Unfortunately, not able to find that pick as out we go. Window going to find that pick onto Avery now. Speedery onto Renko. Speedery going to be now on the Phoenix, an incredibly strong hero in the current meta. And that is being shown by that early pick as the team is still walking forward. Speedery onto Nectar now. Make that 2. Avery finds Speedery, though. Window onto Techie. The trade fest begins, but still Envy up in numbers as Tap takes out Avery once more. Now walking forward. The rocket falls from the side of our Amori. Goodbye to that res, which was used right prior, and at this point I do believe they should be able to get there, but Renko holding on to Jeff. It's Jeff ready, but will that be able to land as the touch almost comes through from Crimzo? It does. The whole team getting back to point out we go with the It's Jeff. Does this find a pick? It's matched right back. Renko finds 3. Can he get off map? We'll find shortly. Try to find this off angle, and down goes 1 as the side of Tap in the downtown throw. Make that 2. Great play here by Renko.
Yep, huge Jeff with the follow-up from the entanglement of Crimzo's ultimate on Angela. So that team up, you know, they did everything they could on Envy's side. They broke the Javelin, right? They come back through trying to sort of disengage it, but the damage is already done. Jeff opened his mouth wide, swallowed them whole, and 3 people off the map almost. It's only 1 because everybody else has mobility on the side of Envy. But now they walk in with ults in this upcoming fight. We'll see how they do. Huge combination from Sentinels. A minute left on the clock now for Team Envy.
The beautiful dance of Jeff trying to juke every cooldown in the game as they have a full team inside of Jeff's mouth. And you start once more. The Feast of the Abyss right onto Renko, or excuse me, on a month, does fall. Avery up, finds Kalush. 2 numbers here for Sentinels on the defense. Once again, this retake has been obscene. Really well done by Sentinels, who are now again up in ultimates. Almost 4 available. Speedery gonna force out the Ensong Inferno. Sentinels looking like a team that is playing lights out as Nectar gets a pick on a Speedery. And again, they're up in numbers with 20 seconds on.
Yeah, McGrady's got these guys playing at a high level. I mean, Envy looking a little bit lost, leaving Month behind. He's got Invisible Boundary. They also have to commit another. Oh my God, they're stuck again due to a huge combination from Avery. And then Renko swallows them up after the last stand, stuns them all. Wait, he doesn't get them off the map though. He didn't get them off the map.
Found 1 with Tap on that hit, but it does get traded, and that's... Oh, he couldn't get back to point! So it was a huge play there, and wow, that is wild to see Sentinels with definitely a different comp than I would expect here on the triple, using that Angela and finding so much success with the Jeff, the It's Jeff combination. Renko with 2 3-man eats. Absolutely obscene. What a defense by Sentinels. Can Envy do the same?
Yeah, give Sentinels a week, and this is what happens. It looks like Renko looks to be leveled up on the Jeff, and they were good already last week, right? But this week, I think that we, see those combinations, right? That's kind of the way forward for a lot of the teams, is you combine with stuns, you combine with CC. Everybody's hit by the last stand. They're all stunned for a few seconds. Renko comes through, then can swallow them up for free, right? In all these shadows. And Sentinels on this map, they're making Envy look so uncomfortable, right? Taking a look at the draft phase. I was maybe a little bit worried about Sentinels draft because of the fact they let the Phoenix go through. But at the end of the day, really, they just kind of played the team comp to such a high level. And that's something I did not expect out of Sentinels this early on and how, this team has been shaped together. Right now, they're looking so good versus Envy, who on this map really have just been historically favored.
Yeah, they clearly have been working on these triple comps, and again, that was just beautifully well played. Just a ton of patience on the retake at that last moment too, with a meter on before that first point was given up, and still able to heavily commit with that combination, like you mentioned. Angela going to be followed up by the It's Jeff as we start off now. The portal play potential right here from Techie, who is going to try to wall off some certain zones, and the team read that like a textbook. Good work there by the side of Envy, who drops away from that play, but there still is some LOS blocking there, and that's not a bad idea. Avery going to find Speedery early on. It clearly worked out for him. Tap going to be bringing that res right back on the Jeff. Techie under window now to try to make them again up in numbers as Sentinels are walking themselves forward, dealing a ton of damage onto Kaluge, and they're keeping this going. Nectar on the Magic. Magic historically does very well into these triple Vanguard compositions, simply due to the nature of those damage rotations, the combinations, animation cancels, and how strong you can be. And as I say that, caster curse to the max. Month finds that pick.
Well, this is the worry. I feel like Envy used to run these sort of Ultron comps, and they're realizing that Ultron maybe was not as strong as we once thought, right? And for Envy's team, they have to figure it out. A minute left on the clock. Sentinels have built up ults. They can constantly pressure out your backline. The flexibility has been a big reason to Sentinel's success, as they've already built up that Kraken impact.
Yeah, Sentinels are looking very good again. Alt advantage, Renko ready with this combo. Will this come through? Avery going to be ready with the Kraken impact. I have Agamotto available as we look over. Eternal Bond ready, as well as the Sia, which gets launched early, and no one is found by that I have Agamotto. Good idea there. Shields go up, keeping the team healthy, but that Sia is launched there from Tap. We can get that all back very quickly, and the res likely coming around here shortly. Out we go with the reverse eye. Gets stuffed there, this time by Avery, shutting down Window, who's back at 50%. Up we go with the meteor ram, trying to stuff Jeff, and that does not land. Renko again gonna find just a teammate, keeping them healthy, moving them forward. Nobody offensively gets taken there, as everybody just stalling at this point. Great pull by Avery with a two-piece, matched immediately by the freedom charge, but that is forcing some good cooldowns.
Yeah, I mean, Speedery may have not connected with the Eye of Agamotto, but he'll connect with these right clicks. 3 go down to him, and what a play by Envy.
Yeah, good focus there. Speedery really, again, on the Vanguard role now, can do it all, as we've seen every single role tackled already in these first 2 games here from the side of Speedery. Now, alt advantage going to be roughly even 2 on both sides. We might see the third coming up here from Sentinels on the side of Techie in this fight early on, so a slight advantage for Sentinels, but it's all about who gets this first pick. Let's see what happens.
And we've seen teams run this solo sort of, or Jeff in his backline. Nectar commits the Dark Child. Avery also finds Kaluge. Get a hook early, then the follow-up is there, but the BRB brings him back into the fight, sort of a pseudo Adam Warlock res, and that Dark Child's about to run out. A lot of duelist damage removed.
Yeah, I think the idea there from Nectar, they wanted to ensure they could try to get a pick through ultimate with that combination of magic, but there was placed a little too strategically away from an angle, as Kaluge finds 1, 3 at this point, making 2 again just from Kaluge, as Nectar goes down 2, and now Envy retaking this position, doing a good job with it. Yeah, they do have ult advantage in this next fight, so wow, they really do a great job on this defense, as Sentinels is now playing on their heels.
I mean, Envy has Gator, who is one of the original members of Team Goats, the famous hero shooter combination, and obviously, and Kaluge too. So they have 2 of those players, and they look pretty much exactly why. You have those guys on that can play these triple strategy, triple Vanguard compositions, and also teach it at a high level.
Up we go with the Meteor Ram, and there is going to be cooldown utilized. Speedery going to find Techie now, and they are again walking forward 28 seconds, looking exactly like the situation we just saw in reverse, but now Sentinels heavily up in alts in this next fight. Envy going to be close now, but Kaluge is going to launch that Freedom Charge, try to keep them in the spawn door, so there is no touching, very similar to what we saw from Renko with the It's Jeff, but That is available with the combination from Crimzo. Everybody on Sentinels has that ult now as it is launched. 6 seconds on. Can they get there to the point?
He's too far for the res beacon, though.
He finds window.
Yeah, he's too far for the res beacon, and the Jeff ult's gonna eat Nero. Goodbye, Nero. Ooh, never mind. No, it was too early.
Oh, the timing was a millisecond off. Envy gets 2. Will they be able to take this W now as we launch everything? The Kraken impact goes out now for Avery, and the invisible boundary holding on over time is now ticking down slowly. Up we go in the sky with the Ensong Inferno. Month consistently looking up, ready to break it. It does not get broken, but it does not find too much value. Speedery now, eyes on. Portal comes out. Now again, both sides from Window and Techie. Everybody back on the fight. Sentinels with Techie's all available. That's all that's ready at the current moment as Speedery is close to the Meteor M, which will have it likely in seconds now to have a one-on-one ult advantage. Or more ready, and there goes that eye. It gets pushed away. Does it get value? Meteor M is up. Does this one land? Bang! Window onto Nectar, but that does not land there from the Meteor M side. Out goes the Sia. Speedery on the Rainco, and now they're up in numbers once more. Envy back and forth here. I have Agamotto ready again for Window. Everybody playing safe.
Window has that all ready to go, man. Oramori pushes him into the team. No, Nectar gets stuffed. He goes down. The follow-up is there, and there's no portals like you mentioned earlier, Shib. Overtime, it's going to slowly dwindle unless they can find picks. They soul bond to keep everybody healthy, and they're touching.
This is insane, as at this point there is a sliver on the OT. Window gonna find Rainco. Envy, the bear has been poked. Month onto Nectar. It's all about the touch now from Techie. Everyone's eyes on Crimzo there as well. Could buy plenty of time, but there goes that eternal bond as the team is staying there now. Out we go with the Feast of the Abyss. Crimzo just stalling now. 100 HP does fall from Tap, who can deal a ton of damage on the rocket. Out we go again with the Kraken impact. Dive from Techie's huge. Nero onto Avery. Again, another strategy. Just line off launched from this side of Month, matched by Aramori. And oh my goodness, everybody is getting back to this fight. Up we go with Speedery with the Meteor M. That one lands on a Nectar, which is massive as the self-res up. Can they hold on? Renko using the Jeff. Window with a huge ult. Finds 2. Speedery now cleans that up. Make it 3. Why don't you? Envy is lights out right now. They are ready with this W, and they take home the second match, or third match, excuse me, at this state in the duelist meta, as we're seeing here, even bringing Hella out. There's so many potential picks, and they're all viable. Nectar has already played a ton of different duels, even Magic in that last matchup.
Yeah, they're mixing it up for sure. That flexibility is something Sentinels has prioritized in terms of the players they pick up. And oh my gosh, Crim's already forced to use that E super early. You can see as well that cap protect, maybe allowing that Venom to come through, maybe like trying to juke out Envy. You still get that team up with a Jeff as well with that insane amount of healing provided, but Envy do get that Emma Frost consistently, and Kaluj already putting pressure on that point, allowing Tap to kind of create space on these off angles.
Yeah, these off angles here with Phoenix have been incredibly oppressive, and this is exactly how you should play these hit scan heroes, folks. If you're trying to climb ladder, these off angles looking at the back line, forcing eyes away, and those strategists, excuse me, to be looking in different directions and not their front line is huge. As Window now finds a 2-piece there, keeping the team healthy. Walking forward is going to be Speedery ready here with that Rage of Ultron to commit, but Tap is a demon right now. Finds another onto Crimzo, Kaluj onto Nectar, and that'll be the team and the point here being held on as Envy is already roughly at 20%.
And I don't think we've seen a team actually hard prioritize these team ups as much as Team Sentinels does. I mean, they're going over and we're committing Nectar over to the Hella. So, I mean, they wanted that full team up with the Venom, Jeff, and the Hella. Now they're going to go off of it, go over to Captain America, go over to Psylocke, go over to that Emma Frost for Techie. And now they're going to set up maybe for those dives on a Nectar. The last time we seen Team Envy run that Psylocke, it didn't really work out that well, especially against Envy's sort of hard counter dive comp.
Yeah, I think Psylocke is in a tricky spot right now, although it can be very strong. Oh, and as I say that again, Caster Curse on tap, early pick there from the side of Nectar. But yeah, you know, it's not nearly as valuable as we'll see with this next patch, and you get essentially a whole nother swing in that Dance of the Butterfly with that damage increase in terms of raw damage numbers, almost a whole nother swing. So it goes from 8 to virtually 9, even though it's still going to be 8, just through that damage. And you can sweep right through strategists if you play it correctly, even more of a speed boost. And here we go with that Dance of the Butterfly now on the back line. Nero is going to fall. That's one Avery onto Month. Nectar again onto Speedery. That was a massive dance. Now Nectar trying to find another pick here on a Tap, who does get that done. Well done by Nectar. Avery cleaning up Window now, and although already Envy at 73%, that is virtually what they're looking for, and we'll have roughly the same ults going in to Sentinels in this next fight.
Yeah, I wonder why Month didn't commit the invisible boundary there. Maybe he did what again. I think Nero and Month sometimes are like desynced, where you know Nero will go with sometimes Eternal Bond, sometimes on Luna in this case, and then just leave Month behind. So some like communication lapse there. Sometimes it's easy to get left behind on strategists with the pace of this game. It's so fast, and Month, he's going to be one of the heroes this fight with his own invisible boundary, depending on when he uses it coming up, as it's the only strategist ult for Team Envy on this re-engage.
And we'll start now. Feast of Abyss goes out there from window. It does get a ton in terms of raw healing value, but not a lot in terms of KO potential. Crimzo doing what Crimzo does. Very oppressive there on the cap. Avery holding the high side angle. Renko still holding on to the cap. He's still going to get that pick on Month. Month unable to use that boundary once again, like you had mentioned. 50% on here for Sentinels. Techie and Avery are going to find one each. Nectar now onto Speedery. Crimzo onto window, and Kaluge going to drop off for the reset. But at this point, it is going to be a fight here for the 70% battle, and it's getting into one fight territory until that teleport comes in from Strange.
And Month's still holding on to it, so he's very greedy with it. He doesn't really want to use it until he's like the last strategist alive. You could tell Speedery starts things off, Nero's then the follow-up, and then Month is there, unless they have full point control. And right now, I mean, Avery also looks so good on Ultron alongside Renko on Jeff. That tandem has been perfect for them. Now in this upcoming fight, they still have some else to work with, but Envy has been saving onto their bank.
And in the Strange position right now, Renko is essentially holding on to that Edge Jeff until the right moment, which is definitely... Oh, wow, Avery with that pick on a Speedery, and I believe that shut down at all it did. Speedery not going to be able to use that Rage anymore. Tap going to have to reset. Numbers back in Sentinel's favor as the pick comes through and evens it out, and Psyche lied. Now they're up as Tap going to find Renko, and Envy is now up in numbers, holding on here with that animation cancel. Just absolutely insane to see the spinning top. Aramori goes low. Techie, though, going to find Month once again, doing a great job on these strategist picks here. Tap still trying to maintain his position, but 99% here for Sentinels. Envy trying to get that percentage back. Window going to start up here with the Freedom Charge. Kaluge onto Renko now with another strategist pick, and Tap onto Techie. And we will see a 99-99 battle coming here. And what do you know? The storybook battles between these two teams continue.
Yeah, but they committed everything there. Dude, Envy is so greedy. I mean, they'll lose Speedery even in his Ultron's Rage because they just want to make sure they started off with Ultron's Rage, then Dance Floor, and then Month's Invisible Boundary. Now in this upcoming fight, they have nothing again, right? Because of what happened in the previous fight, but they do have point control. That's the biggest thing. Can Sentinels find value with a Zitch Jeff and with starting off from Avery? They've done it before, but Avery's going to have to go huge in this upcoming fight versus Speedery, one of the best players in the game.
Essentially saying there's no versatility in the rotation. It needs to be consistent, which is definitely a flaw if that is the case now. Avery up in the sky. Very low here for Month. Nectar with a huge two-piece. Out we go with Renko, who is going to fall there from Speedery. Tap onto Aramori, and that's traded right back. Nero onto Nectar. Avery onto Tap. And it's even once again as they're holding on to the point. 99-99 as discussed. Out we go with the Rage of Ultron, trying to bide some time. It is going to be matched right back and still holding on here. Crimzo on point, maintaining that position, waiting for the team to get back. Still holding on with a ton of HP, but it's gonna be very low now. Great positioning, retake, and rotation onto point. As again, now Techie is maintaining that position. Now we go with a Freedom Charge from Crimzo, who was holding on with no ultimate for that long with Wild. Speedery, though, gonna find Avery, and now they're up in numbers. Sonic Seduction trying to find Speedery in the sky. Not gonna be able to do so. Great positioning there. Speedery right back and takes out Techie, and that's gonna be enough for the first point here on domination.
The task was too difficult for Avery to overcome, and the Sentinel squad. I mean, they did a good job, I think. Like, they set up the early fight well, and they go for that dive on the back line, but then Envy, you know, they traded it out. Their win condition, you know, really came to fruition, just diving onto Aramori, making sure their backline wasn't safe. And, you know, you could even see the Speedery just at the end of it with that Ultron's Rage built it up so quickly and was able to kind of collapse at the right time on the Sentinels. So right now, things are working out for Envy. That's the biggest thing, is that Sentinels, I think they're not greedy enough sometimes, where they're just kind of like chucking out ults right sometimes and just trying to build them up, and then Nectar going for those early aggressive plays on Psylocke. And then for Envy's side, you know, they really want the sequencing to be done well, and eventually it pans out in the long run, but man, it gets damn close as that first round goes their way.
3, 2,
Yeah, again, at this point, it has been so back and forth, and it always comes down to these clutch final fights and who gets the value early on. I do think Envy was very much in a position there with that portal to hold on and be in an advantage, but I think Crimzo did a great job of essentially stalling as Cap, which, you know, is exactly what Cap does.
And Avery should have lived there, Shib. Like, he was just a little bit too high, didn't get that Captain America charge, and Speedery just two-taps it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the cooldown rotation. It's the difficulty of the panic alt there on the side of when you need to just maintain that position. Oh, and here we go. Is Avery going to start here with the Rage of Ultron? Nectar going to follow up and take out Nero. Window committing the Freedom Charge as Envy is now down a number. But will this maintain? Aramori holding on here to the fate, and that is going to be a huge dance floor at the current moment as Tap is ready with Ensong Inferno. Alt's going to be very close here for Speedery, Kaluge, and Month as they are now going to match that right back. Speedery going to launch that Q, forces out the dance floor from Aramori, and the battles begin. Matched right back from Month with that invisible boundary.
Yeah, nice job with that. They're able to come back in. Here comes a Jeffel on the opposite side, too, slowing down everybody else, the main force. Oh my god, Nectar, though, comes on the backside, dives onto Nero, who has that drone. Everybody patty caking it, but it's resulting in everybody going down. Tap trades back one.
Nectar, again, finding value through that dance of the butterfly is wild. That's another pick there, even through those strategies. And that is a great freeze that Avery capitalizes on. Goodbye to Tap there now. And again, holding on Crimzo onto Window. Going to get this point early on, and Sentinels are now bouncing back. They want to try to even the odds on domination and send it to map 3 once again.
Yeah, huge first take. We've seen the team, I think even more so than other hero shooters, that wins the point first to win the entire round more often than not. And another thing in the last fight is the same thing with that Sentinels dealt with Crimzo losing Avery in the middle of the fight of the Freedom Charge. Window loses his own backline during it. And maybe that's just the negative side of these overhealth, you know, ultimates, right? Rocket Raccoon, Mantis, Captain America. Do they take a little bit too long to sort of proc and keep your team healthy, whereas Luna Snowball can instantly boost your health up?
And there's a conversation to say that when those ults are being used, things like Ultron, who now deals more damage into that overhealth, it may get more value, and it does kind of, you know, although it doesn't find a lot of picks, it still puts enough pressure to where your team can follow up and get a pick through it. Crimzo now going to bring out the Freedom Charge, try to keep the team healthy, but Kaluge gets that pick, and out we go with the Psionic onto the back line here from Techie, shielded up to block that right back. Very low now at 90 HP, 51% on here for Sentinels, with Speedery with a two-piece. Tap going to find Techie now. Make it 3, why don't you, from Speedery, soon to be 4. Absolutely disgusting here on Ultron by Speedery as they take this point right back. Only 57% on there for Sentinels, which frankly is not enough for that first hold to feel comfortable.
It's the same thing, man. Shib, it seems like every time these Freedom Charges come out, somebody still goes down. And Avery in that fight, again, was the first one to fall. And it's not that Avery's playing bad. Avery's playing great, but Speedery just playing that sort of marginal sort of increment better, right? And at the moment, we'll see what happens as Envy builds up another Ultron's Rage off of his back. They also have point control, and more notably, only 60% of the board for Sentinels on their first defense.
They were going to launch out with the Rage of Ultron, gets matched right back there by Month with the invisible boundary, doing a good job keeping the team on point, just trying to bide time. 40% ready here for Envy, about 20 behind Sentinels at the moment. Now we go with the tackle. Nectar again for 3 in a row, going to find one of the strategists with that dance of the butterfly. Great timing and engage there as they are absolutely popping off there with the Psylocke. But now the commitment comes through. Out we go again. Tap going to find Renko, though. Speedery on Aramori. And there's a conversation to say that we aren't seeing as much value with these jet faults as we did during something like Convoys. Right now, the team is very much focused on that.
Yeah, Envy, like you said, they're avoiding all of them. Renko's in a tough spot, and I think that's the turning point, right? Window able to pop off that Freedom Charge. They want to make sure they secure this series, and nobody goes down in it. Sentinels have to do the same thing, right? They have to live with Crimzo's charge. They have to keep Avery up in that Ultron's Rage. That's their only way forward. If they get picked off during another one, I'd be worried, because Envy, they finally sort of solved that issue of going down during it.
84% for Envy here. Alt advantage roughly just barely on the side of Sentinels, as they will have a few in this next fight coming here from Avery and Crimzo as well early on. But it can only be matched here by the dance floor and the Ensong Inferno from Tap on the side of Envy. As here we go early on Avery, going to try to force out whatever is viable. Up we go with the Ensong Inferno to buy time and hold on to that invulnerability. Down goes the Ensong. Does it find value? It does not. Tap going to have to drop back. Whole team pressing in here from Sentinels using this ult to their advantage. Crimzo holding on to the Freedom Charge, but there's that match back by Nero, which now gets matched by the Freedom Charge. Techie holding on here to the Psionics, trying to shut down some of these strategists as the ults are popping up. Not able to do so yet, but here you go again with Speedery on the Rage. Will this get value into Sentinels who do not have any answer at the moment?
Yeah, and they lose one, they lose two. Renko falls, and they wait out that Jeff ult that you mentioned earlier. And with that, I mean, they should close it out. You have to deal with the Dance of Butterflies, though. Kalush finds Avery, and they deal with it well. Shiv, overtime ticks down, and Envy do it. They win against Sentinels 3-1.